Hello, I'm Kyle Flug, and I'm a product manager working on Microsoft Edge developer experiences. I'm here today to talk about new tools and features in the web platform that enable you to build richer, more engaging desktop experiences, leveraging the unique balance of power and broad distribution that comes with the web. We'll give you a whirlwind tour of how we're advancing the user experience, business opportunity, and core capabilities of the web platform on the desktop through improvements in Microsoft Edge and contributions to Chromium. We've got a lot to cover, and it starts with the browser itself. Browsers are the most used app experience on Windows. But for a web developer, the browser is actually just the beginning. The modern desktop experience is increasingly infused with the web. Let me talk you through what I mean. In addition to the traditional browser experience, websites can also be installed as apps for a more comfortable, seamless experience that feels at home in Windows and other desktop operating systems. Microsoft Edge allows any website to be easily installed by the user with just a couple of clicks, with no developer effort required. But developers can progressively enhance their sites with more app-like features for things like improved performance in poor network conditions, a more tailored user experience on the desktop, and more. These are sometimes called progressive web apps, or PWAs. PWAs aren't just a developer fad. Users are choosing PWAs for a better desktop experience on Windows. Since last year, billions of user minutes are spent in Edge-powered PWAs every month, a number that continues to grow. In fact, user minutes in PWAs have more than doubled in the last year. Web apps can mean more than PWAs, too. The web also shows up as a component of Windows apps through tools like WebView2, Electron, or the Chromium Embedded Framework. Tens of thousands of these apps use the combination of web and native technologies to enable fast iteration and efficient code reuse across platforms. Embedding technologies like WebView2 give apps the flexibility to adopt the web incrementally according to their needs, whether it's for a single component or an entire experience. The web is even increasingly a part of the operating system itself. Your web code can power things like notifications in the Windows Action Center or badges on the Windows taskbar. And with Windows 11, we're taking this a little further. I'm excited to share that we're working on a model powered by the same technologies as PWAs to allow developers to build widgets for Windows 11 using web technologies. We'll have more to share about custom widgets powered by PWAs in the coming months. In this talk, my colleagues Jason and Riza will give a tour of the latest in each of these areas. Jason will walk you through how we're innovating in Microsoft Edge and Windows to make installable web apps better than ever, and what we're doing to improve apps built on WebView2. Then we'll turn it over to Riza, who will cover how we're working in standards and in Chromium to continue to advance the underlying platform that powers all of these experiences, and how we're evolving the browser developer tools to make them more capable and approachable. The opportunity for developers building on web technologies is vast. Whether you're building a website designed to be experienced in the browser, or bringing components into a native app, or anything in between. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Jason, who's going to talk in more detail about web apps.
Thanks, Kyle, for the great intro. My name's Jason, and today I'll be exploring how Microsoft is empowering developers to build modern applications that leverage the web through innovations in progressive web apps and WebView2. The ubiquity and prominence of the web makes it a compelling platform for apps to build on, but at the same time, closer integration with the native platform enables a deeper level of customization and control that apps may require. Both PWAs and WebView2 are technologies that bridge the gap between web and native. Let's dive into some of the most exciting updates from both technologies. Let's start with progressive web apps, or PWAs, which are one of the quickest ways to introduce native capabilities to a web experience. PWAs are websites that are progressively enhanced to function like installed native apps. They're fast and leverage the open web to provide cross-platform support. To help you visualize exactly how PWAs work, here's a quick animation of the Twitter website being installed as a native PWA within just a few seconds. In the past year, the Edge team has continued efforts to expand the PWA experience end-to-end. In today's talk, I'd like to cover 3 areas of investment. The first is in multi-platform app distribution, which is powered by PWA Builder. The second is in the powerful native integrations we've introduced to further enable desktop form factors. And finally, new Edge UX to help end users manage their PWAs. Let's dive into some updates on how PWAs enable your app to have easy cross-platform distribution. Edge has partnered with the community to update PWA Builder, an open source tool for building and packaging PWAs. PWAbuilder.com now has a refreshed landing page, which showcases 2 brand new developer tools. The first is the PWA Starter Project, which is a way to help developers bootstrap their development of PWAs. Using technology suggested in PWA Starter helps ensure your app stays performant, looks great on Windows and other operating systems, and has all the relevant components to build a compelling user experience. The second tool featured on PWA Builder is PWA Studio, a new VS Code extension that makes VS Code the best developer environment for building progressive web apps. With PWA Studio, you can build, package, and publish to the Microsoft Store or the web without ever leaving VS Code. Another exciting update is that the PWA Builder team has worked to bring the power of the web to the next frontier of reality, AR and VR devices. PWAs currently work on Microsoft's HoloLens, and Meta recently announced support for PWAs on Oculus. This past year, Edge has collaborated with Meta to make PWA Builder the best tool for packaging PWAs for mixed reality devices. Thanks to this, developers will be able to use PWA Builder to sideload packages for both Oculus Quest and HoloLens devices. Historically, a lot of PWA conversation was focused on mobile devices, but over the past few years, we've taken strides towards realizing the opportunity of PWAs on desktop as well. Desktop is a great environment for PWAs, where installable web apps are a natural fit in a windowed, multitasking environment like Windows 11 or Mac OS. Here are a few of the features that make PWAs really shine on the desktop. Features like auto start on OS login, shortcuts, file, URL, protocol handling, and all the others called out here are designed to make the user journey more seamless with the OS. We've also introduced new ways PWA users can manage their applications in the Edge Apps page. On this page, users will be able to view a list of both store and web installed PWAs, check origin permissions, set relevant app settings, and perform management tasks. We're also introducing 2 new app management features. The first is a feature that allows PWAs to be synced across devices using the same profile. And the second is a new Apps Hub menu to allow you to quickly get to your PWA apps from the browser's toolbar. These features allow users to discover and use their PWAs more easily. Thanks to Edge team's efforts in partnership with the open source community, users are spending billions of minutes on PWAs every month, with steady year-over-year growth. Customers like the one shown below are building and shipping apps as PWAs on Windows. We at Microsoft are also appreciative of the strong PWA developer community. This past March, we wrapped up a community-driven month of presentations, blog posts, code samples, and best practices for PWAs. Now, PWAs are a great choice for apps looking to create cross-platform native applications using 100% web standards. However, for those who need custom experiences tied to the native OS, want to leverage capabilities not part of the web, or are trying to incrementally modernize their native app, WebView2 might be the technology better suited for your app type. Let's talk about the past year in WebView2. The WebView2 control allows developers to embed web platform into their native app. The value proposition of being able to modernize your app by leveraging web content seems simple, but that's only the beginning of what WebView2 has to offer. Since last year's Build conference, WebView2 has improved and evolved in 3 main areas: availability, versatility, and performance. Let's talk about each. Availability is all about where WebView2 can be utilized. We want WebView2 to be available in all platforms and frameworks to meet and empower developers wherever they're at. In the past years, we were proud to announce WebView2 has general availability on Win32 C and C++, .NET through WPF and WinForms, and in the Windows App SDK through WinUI 3. We have heard positive feedback about our readiness on these platforms and want to continue expanding our reach. We're excited to announce that in the next quarter, WebView2 will also be available in desktop UWP through WinUI 2, .NET MAUI and Blazor, and in the upcoming year, we're releasing WebView2 on macOS. Another exciting update is that the WebView2 runtime, which powers the WebView experience, now comes pre-installed in Windows 11. By having the runtime pre-installed, WebView2 is readily accessible for apps to use. Now, versatility is about providing a wide range of powerful capabilities to a diverse set of customers. No WebView2 app is the same, and being able to provide the right tools for apps to achieve their intended scenarios is key in delivering customer value. The versatility of WebView2 is driven through the development and release of our powerful API set. We have hundreds of APIs and features that serve a multitude of use cases. WebView2 has empowered many first-party customers to achieve their hybrid app scenarios. Two apps I'd like to compare today are Microsoft Teams and Visual Studio. Microsoft Teams is now using WebView2 on Windows 11 to render their app's entire viewable region. Because of the performance benefits and common features between Edge and WebView2, Teams can build cross-platform web experiences for a variety of scenarios, from chats to channels and calls to meetings. Visual Studio, on the other hand, is using WebView2 incrementally to power their diagnostic tools and events experiences. Notice how the web and native experiences are indistinguishable. WebView2's web native interop APIs are used behind the scenes to provide fast communication between layers, and offline support allows VS to be run without connectivity to the web. Now, those were just two of the thousands of apps being built using WebView2. In fact, WebView2 has wide adoption behind many of Microsoft's products, in addition to thousands of third-party products as well. Now, it's not enough for WebView2 to provide a vast set of APIs if they're not inclusive of all Windows machines of different specs. One of our focuses this year has been enabling developers to be in control of the performance of their app. A couple months ago, we released an improvement to our try-suspend API that decreased the median memory usage of a hidden WebView2 by 77%, from roughly 70 megabytes to 16 megabytes. APIs like try-suspend bring great improvement to an already performant web platform. These APIs also impact millions of customers as Windows apps like widgets leverage them. These updates and many others are brought to you automatically via WebView2's Evergreen distribution mode. In this model, the WebView2 runtime, which powers the WebView experience, is kept up to date with the latest updates and features and security. Now, to summarize, we like to think of progressive web apps and WebView2 as part of the same family of technologies that fit a different set of requirements. If you're starting from a website and want to increase engagement or pervasiveness and require cross-platform support, PWAs are the right choice. On the other hand, if you want capabilities outside of the web standards or want to incrementally adopt the web, WebView2 may be the better option. Either way, both PWAs and WebView2 are incredible technologies that help bridge the gap between web and native to empower developers to create better app experiences in Windows and beyond. And now let me hand it over to Riza to talk about the work we're doing to enable cross-browser APIs and developer tooling.
Thanks, Jason. You've heard about a bunch of places where your web code can drive experiences across the browser, your apps, and even the operating system. But at the end of the day, making great experiences depends on a powerful web platform and great developer tools. At Microsoft, we're creating new web capabilities that solve real-world customer problems. We're continually bringing new APIs to the web platform and collaborating on W3C specs with other Chromium contributors, all who want to advance the web. And we remain a significant contributor to the Chromium project. Here's a short list of the improvements we've made to the web platform in the past year to help make compelling and app-like experiences. Partners like Office and Teams use these web APIs to make rich, web-powered editing experiences feel even better on modern devices with natural input like touch keyboards or ink. There are so many exciting web APIs to use here. Maybe you've tried to implement your own highlighting solution, which involved writing lots of JavaScript code or losing previously highlighted text on the document. Now that's made easy with the CSS Custom Highlights web API that uses JavaScript ranges and the Highlight CSS selector. Or maybe you would like to style select elements which are impossible to fully style The button part can be styled, but not the drop-down or options. Now you can use the select menu element together with the part CSS selector to implement a fully styled select menu for both the buttons and the list box options. You may be interested in building an experience that brings together a couple of these APIs. Let me walk you through a demo that shows you how to bring them together to build a sensational customer experience. Here I have a demo site running. I'll switch to the Edge blog where I'll copy content from it onto my clipboard and then paste it into my demo site. This action used the Async Clipboard API to access the clipboard and paste content from it. Next, I'll start reading down the page. Notice as we scroll down, there's a reading progress indicator at the top. If I scroll up, it adjusts itself. This uses the new scroll animation timeline API. Now I'll click the theme, which uses the select menu element. Notice that all the options in the list box are individually styled. Next, I'll click the star, which uses the eyedropper API to set the background color of the page. Finally, to demo the CSS Custom Highlights API, I'll select some text in the article and click the highlight button. A snippet of text is created for me, and the text remains highlighted. I'll do that a couple of times and notice that the text remains highlighted. I hope the demo showed how you can bring these APIs together to provide an improved and modern experience on your website. Now, after you've built your site to use some of these or other APIs, you're likely going to open up the DevTools. We know developers spend lots of time in the DevTools when they develop, test, or debug web apps. They use the DevTools to identify issues, emulate web apps on different device types, optimize performance, and so much more. We are continually making improvements to the DevTools to help you be more productive. Here's a list of the new features that we shipped in the DevTools since last fall. There are so many exciting features here, like the Detached Elements tool, which can be used to improve performance by finding DOM memory leaks that are no longer attached to the DOM tree, but is still referenced by JavaScript running on the page. You can also debug unminified JavaScript in your DevTools using published source maps, which makes it a lot easier to debug. And if you want to make it more secure, you can first publish your source maps to Azure Artifact Symbol Server and then use source maps in your DevTools. But let me get into some more details about two of those features. First, let's talk about the new DevTools UI. We know that the UI in DevTools can be overwhelming. Did you know that there are over 30 tools in the DevTools? We heard from customers that the DevTools needs to be more user-friendly, that it's difficult to switch between tools, and to know what you need. That's why we created a new UI that simplifies the DevTools and gets the other information out of the way. In this new UI, the main row of tabs is moved into an activity bar, which is a compact toolbar with distinctive icons. The activity bar makes it possible to pin or rearrange your icons according to your preference. We're progressively rolling out this new UI as an experiment in Edge. If you'd like to try it out early, open the DevTools settings, click Experiments, and turn on Focus Mode. For the second feature, let's talk about how we're bringing the IDE and browser tooling experiences closer together using the Microsoft Edge DevTools extension for Visual Studio Code. Maybe you've done this dance before. You're using the DevTools to debug your website, you're switching between the browser and VS Code, you make some changes to CSS, and you copy them over to VS Code, hope you didn't lose them, back to the IDE, you refresh, only to find out that you lost the changes that you thought you copied over. To improve the developer's workflow, we brought the VS Code extension and DevTools closer together to solve some of these problems. For example, the Edge DevTools now recognizes when you're debugging local files and allows you the option to edit source files directly in VS Code instead of using the DevTools. Let me show you what that looks like. Here, we're testing a site on a local computer, and the DevTools detects that you're running it locally. DevTools prompts you to set the root folder of your project. Clicking Set Root Folder opens up a file dialog for you to pick the root folder of your project. Finally, click Allow to give the browser permission to open VS Code. Now, when you click a link in the browser's DevTools, like a CSS file, your source code is open in Visual Studio Code. When you make a change in the DevTools, these changes are synchronized directly to your source file in VS Code. Here we make a change to the color in the browser's DevTools, and the color is updated in the VS Code files. We'll change the flexbox's flex direction in the browser's DevTools, and that's also updated in Visual Studio Code. Now, let's delete flex direction from the source files and notice that the rendered page in the browser automatically re-renders itself. There's a lot more in the VS Code extension, including CSS mirroring with React and Sass, access to the browser's console in Visual Studio Code, and screencasts in Visual Studio Code. That's just a quick intro of how we're bringing together the DevTools and VS Code extension to make your developer workflow better. I'm happy to announce we just launched our new Microsoft Edge DevTools GitHub repo. There we have open community discussions on feature requests, challenges, share explainers that describe new features, and listen to developer feedback. Head on over to check it out to start engaging with us. You can find a link to our GitHub repo in the description below or in the resources slide at the end of the session. Finally, we know that it can be daunting to keep up with all these changes. That's why the Welcome tool in the DevTools displays all the latest features included in this release. And we also have links to documentation or our GitHub repo that can help get the information or support you need. This was just a peek into the world of how we're evolving the DevTools to make you more productive as a web developer. We also want to hear from you, so be sure to connect with us on GitHub. Thanks for your time. Now let me hand you back over to Kyle to share some closing thoughts.
Thank you, Riza and Jason. That was just a taste of some of the exciting work the Edge team has done to empower you to build better experiences, whether you're building for a website, an app, or a component of another experience. I know it's a lot to cover, so I'll leave you with a few resources to learn more about the topics that are most relevant to you. You can find a summary of all these resources in the description below or at aka.ms/edgebuild2022. To learn more about what's new for WebView2, check out aka.ms/WebView2, where you can find our product documentation, release notes, and a getting started guide. You can also give feedback and connect with the team in the WebView2 feedback repo on GitHub. To learn more about progressive web apps, check out aka.ms/PWA, where you can find an overview of PWAs and what's new in the platform. And if you're looking to get started with PWAs or try out some of the latest platform features, check out our recent 30 Days of PWA series, which walks you through everything from core concepts to advanced capabilities and distribution. Finally, if you'd like to dive in a little deeper with the Edge DevTools, you may be interested in our DevTools pre-recorded sessions, which walk you through how to use some of the newest features in DevTools, including a deep dive into memory and performance investigations and in-production debugging with source maps. If you have any feedback on the DevTools themselves, you can find us on GitHub, where we'd love to discuss your issues or suggestions. We hope you enjoyed learning what's new for web developers this year. We can't wait to see the experiences you create. So thanks for your time and happy building.